we are going to do miniature monsters. So if you've worked with clay before, or if you've taken any of my classes before, it's pretty basic. It's the pinch pot method. But we're going to be manipulating those in whatever way we want to create little miniature monsters. So you can do some pretty cool stuff. And your monsters, they don't have to look like a standard pinch pot or any standard monster. Like that little guy right there, that's really cool. I really like how they turned it into a tiny flower pot. Some more cool ones. This one, that's more advanced. That's from a ceramic artist who's been doing it for quite a long time. These are all student work. They're all unique, all kind of funny, or all kind of different. Some more really cool ones. So they don't all have to have this big mouth here if you don't want them to. They could have a tinier mouth, and their body could be doing something different. The only thing that I'm requiring of this is that they are created from a pinch pot. That's it. Anything else, and it's up to you. You could even go this route where they did the pinch pot, or they did two pinch pots and stuck them together and made it so it was hollow on the inside. Those guys are kind of cool. So instead of, like this pinch pot is, let's see if I've got an example right here. So this is like a standard pinch pot that I created. And these are a pinch pot set down like this, and then they cut the mouth into them. So you can do that as well. It doesn't matter how you create that mouth, or if it even has a mouth. So yeah, this project will be your first project with clay. You will, so you're going to be creating 2 of these miniature monsters. Make sure you get your idea sketches first, and then get those signed off. Oops, too far. You're going to want to have these monsters have an even wall thickness. If one area is thicker than the other, it will dry out slower than the thin area. When clay dries out, it shrinks, and it can shrink a lot. The whole process of clay drying out from wet to dry, bone dry, to then being fired is about 20% shrinkage rate. So if you have a 10-inch tall pot, when it is wet, it will shrink 2 inches. That's kind of a lot. So when it's shrinking and it dries out, if that clay doesn't have anywhere to go, it's going to break itself apart. So if your wall thickness is uneven, then the thin areas will break apart, or may break apart. That's the same thing that can happen in the kiln when it's being fired. When it's being fired, one area heats up more quickly than the other, and so it will expand more quickly than the area that isn't heated up, and that can cause it to break apart as well. So clay thickness is pretty important, and we should be able to do that just fine. There's kind of a thickness range that we want to work with, and that's no thicker than 1/2 inch. If you want to go thin, 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 then you'll want to make most of it thin, because it will dry out really quickly. But I would say right around 1/4 inch is pretty good. The ball of clay that you'll use will be something that you can fit in the palm of your hand. That should be plenty for a pinch pot for this size. No micro monsters. Make sure you have your initials and class period on the bottom of your work. Let's see if I've got an example of that. Oh, these ones don't have initials and class periods, so those ones don't get put in the kiln. If they don't have initials and class periods, they don't go in the kiln. They don't get fired. They're sad pots. Yeah, this one does. Just first, middle, last initial. If you put your middle initial, then it's easier to identify as yours, because there may be someone in here with the same initials as you. And there is definitely someone in my other classes that have the same initials, but they may not have the same class period. So that's why I'd like you to also put the class period on there. On here we've also got the rubric, so you can read through that, see how you'd like to score, depending on how much work you want to put into it.